What's up guys? In today's video I'm going to talk to you about some of the complexities associated with advancing your physique and taking it to the next level. Okay, I'm sure a lot of you guys have experienced coming up to some sort of a plateau in your physique transformation. I know I have before, I'm sure many of you guys have. It's basically a situation where whatever you were doing, whatever protocols you had in place that was getting you from point A to point B is no longer helping you get from point B to point C. Okay, the same things you did aren't taking you to that next level. So I'm going to try and explain to you why that is the case and what you can do to keep progressing and taking your physique to the next level. So let's take an example of an individual who's trying to go from 25% body fat down to 15% body fat. Now, the strategies which they'll have to put in place in order to make that body fat reduction aren't going to be that complex. Okay, realistically, all they'll have to do is just gradually taper down their calories and obviously start tracking them on a day-to-day basis, and they will eventually get there. They should get there, okay? And they could do so without really placing that much emphasis on the quality of the nutrition or the macronutrient split, okay? But if that individual wants to get from 15% body fat down to 10% body fat, it gets a little bit more complicated than that. You can't just only focus on your calorie intake, okay? You have to start prioritizing other factors. So you will then need to place a little bit more importance upon your macronutrient split, all right? Okay, so protein, carb, fat intake, is it going to vary based on what activity you do that day, okay? And you may need to start to improve the quality of the foods you consume. You can't just go out and eat crap. So if they implement that properly, they should hopefully get from 15% down to 10%. Now, this is where it gets really complicated. If you want to get from 10% down to 5%, you're talking like, seriously, get shredded. Again, the process is much more complex. You can't just do what you did before to get from 15 to 10% and hope that'll get you from 10% to 5%, right? The nutrition approaches which you implement are going to be much more complicated. You're then going to need to focus more priority on the timing of when you eat your foods, the quality, that's going to be a big one, the quality of the nutrition you take in, and then obviously there's going to be all external factors, and your training is going to play a big part as well. Now, another thing which is quite complicated is the dietary approach which you're going to use to help you get to those different stages. And one which I like to use in this example is going to be if it fits your macros, okay? There's going to be some guys out there who will literally preach if it fits your macros, as in if you can, it doesn't matter the quality of the nutrients you're consuming, as long as you hit your targets, you're going to be fine, and it'll get you shredded. And you see this a lot on Instagram or YouTube or whatever. You see these guys, just eating crap all the time, eating whatever the hell they want, and they're shredded to the bone. Now, this is going to be completely different. Say, for example, somebody who's in their 30s or their 40s, for them to try and get to that same level of leanness and eat whatever the hell they want, it's just not going to happen for them, okay? The importance of nutrition quality definitely increases with age, okay? There's some young people, it's often the young ones that are promoting if it fits your macros, and they can get to whatever physique they want to get to, right? But those older people, even myself, I'd count them as getting into that older generation now. If I can't eat everything I want to eat, even if I hit my macro targets, I'm going to feel like crap. It's going to impact my training, and there's going to be severe amounts of inflammation. I'm going to feel uncomfortable, right? Maybe when I was in my late teens, I could have done it and got away with it, but now I can't. So those people which are literally preaching that this is the only way to do it, or this is just because I did it, you can do it, it's not always the case. And then you can get some people who will argue that supplementation doesn't matter at all. And to some extent, I do believe that for some individual, let's take, for example, that guy who wants to get from 25% down to 15%, they're really not going to need to supplement at all, okay? They can just do some of the basics which I talked about, and they'll get to that 15% body fat percentage. But if somebody who is, say, for example, a physique competitor, and they're trying to be, as big as possible in terms of muscle mass, yet be as lean as possible in terms of minimizing body fat percentage, supplements are actually going to have quite a big impact. I know this has happened for me, before I was competing, I was tired a lot of the time because I was on reduced calories, and I found that supplementing with intra-workout carbohydrates and having, branched chain amino acids, along with having, creatine monohydrate, it really helped with improving my performance, keeping my strength high, and giving me, that little boost during my workouts, which, I needed. The same complexities apply with training as well. So you take a typical individual, this 25% body fat person who wants to get down to a lower body fat percentage, they could just go to the gym and follow the most generic of training routines, right? They'll have to push themselves to some extent, but they're going to get results and they're going to be able to put on a bit of muscle. Now, for somebody who wants to get to that next level and put, more muscle mass on, they're going to require a more complex training regime, which is going to be ideally specifically catered or designed to suit their needs, right? I know there's a load of people who go to the gym, they just try and wing it. Go there, make it up on the spot, and just hope for the best. And to be honest, if you do train hard enough, you are going to get results and you get a decent physique, but it is going to get to that point where you plateau. So even, I used to do this back in the day. I go to the gym, I train as hard as possible, but at a certain point, there is a limit to which you will reach. You can't just continuously train harder and harder and harder. You actually need to be following some specific training routine, which is going to get more complex with time. More complex, I mean, it's going to have a certain number of sets and reps. You're going to need to possibly incorporate drop sets, maybe some supersets, place some emphasis and change the tempo from time to time. And the rest period you'll need to alternate. Okay, it gets, you really have to fine tune it. And for somebody who just wants to get a decent physique, from 20% to 15%, they don't have to incorporate all these complex strategies when it comes to their training. So let's say, for example, somebody wants to get stronger, right? They started off with a 8 rep max on bench press, and they can get 70 kilograms for 8 reps. Let's say they progressed to the point where they could then get 8 reps on 90 kilograms. That's their max. Okay, what they did, typically could just be simple progressive overload on a week-to-week basis, where you're lifting heavier and heavier and heavier to a certain point, and then you've hit that target. Now, if that person then wants to go to that next stage and they want to get, the next target is 8 reps on 110 kilograms, it's going to get a little bit more complicated. Okay, just trying to use those same strategies which I used before, just simple progressive overload, it might not work for them. Okay, they're probably going to have to follow some specific strength training regime, which is going to help them to improve their bench press. Maybe they need to sort out their technique a little bit more, to improve their effectiveness when it comes to pressing. Or maybe they need to prioritize their pre-workout nutrition, or need to change other variables such as the rest period, or maybe even train chest twice per week. Okay, there could be a load of different factors which they will know they need to prioritize in order to get them to that next, target or goal. Okay, and then something else which is really complicated, which a lot of people want to try and achieve or strive for, and that is the lean bulk. Okay, you've heard this before, everyone talking about, they want to get bigger, but I want to get stronger as well, and I want to get leaner. Okay, if you're starting out and you're, let's say for example, you're a bit of a newbie to the whole training thing, you haven't really trained much before, it's quite possible for you to get stronger, for you to get bigger, to put size on, and to lose body fat at the same time, particularly if your body composition isn't great to begin with. But as you get more advanced as a lifter, the likelihood of you being able to achieve all 3 things are just not going to happen, okay? Unless you're genetically gifted or you're smashing steroids, but even then, it's pretty unlikely to happen, okay? So you need to then prioritize one over the other, right? Okay, so if you want to get stronger, you maybe have to deal with the fact that, okay, physique is going to have to take a back foot, right? In other words, that you may need to, add a little bit of body fat in order to get stronger and, increase your calories or whatever. And the same thing goes for if you want to get leaner. If you want to get to the lowest levels of body fat, you have to, understand that, yes, I'm not going to be the strongest at this very point in time. I may have to sacrifice strength. Or you may even, have to come to the point or the realization that you are going to lose a little bit of muscle getting to the lowest levels of body fat. That's just the way it is, okay? There's no way around that. It's just something you have to understand, so you can't complain. So the main take-home point which I want you to have in mind is that different strategies and approaches are required to take you to the next level, okay? What has worked before isn't necessarily always going to work for you, okay? It gets more complicated. It's possible, but You literally just need to assess the situation and be like, right, where am I at right now? What needs to change in order for me to get here, right? I did do another video kind of related to this one as to why your body transformation is taking so long, okay? But that video I spoke quite a bit about external factors, right, which might be getting in the way of slowing things down. This one has really been focused on your approach to training and your approach to nutrition. But obviously, you know, those two things are related, and it becomes more important, you know, the more you're reaching that, you know, limit, or you're advancing your physique, okay? So somebody who wants to get to the leanest levels of body fat yet wants to, you know, maintain as much muscle mass as possible, you need to think, right, okay, what I do outside of the gym is going to be really important, right? I need to really focus and see how I can get maybe 1 extra hour sleep. Maybe I need to try and reduce my stress levels as much as possible because every day I'm stressed out to the max. Or maybe you need to think, oh, do you know what, this weekend I'm not going to go out and party and drink a load of alcohol because it's not going to be good for me. Or maybe I'm not going to have a complete blowout with a cheat meal because it's just going to set me back, right? Everything is all connected, and you need to understand that, yes, to get to those extreme levels and to progress with your physique, some sacrifices need to be made and things get more complicated. All right.